cold start on the 12 valve. Degrees. One more time. This time we'll give it a little bit of little throttle here. Like a dream, boys. What is going on, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel here at Left Lane Diesels. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope everyone is having a fantastic day today. Today is Monday, President's Day. If you got the day off of work, awesome. I appreciate you guys tuning in. For you guys that are out there working, don't get caught by your boss watching this video. Anyway, today we are finally getting to tearing the race engine apart. We're going to be pulling the heads out. We're going to pretty much be tearing apart this whole engine, including the rear cover. We are more than likely going to be leaving the front cover on. I don't really plan on doing anything with the front cover, so we're probably going to leave that on, but the heads are going to come off today. The rear cover, we might even pull the cam, since we are going to be swapping in a stage 2 cam into this engine. So we got a lot of work ahead of us. We got a little setup here, everything, and we're going to need to tear this engine apart. So we're just going to get started. I'm going to do a time-lapse video of the engine tear down. Any little tricks and tips that I have for you guys, I'll stop the video, let you guys know, little tricks and tips for tearing apart the engine, and really doing it conservatively and ensuring that you're not losing parts and you're also staying clean while you're tearing apart the engine. So just a few things here and there. Before we get started with it, look at all of the insulation we got in today. Look at all this. This is 50 sheets, 2 inches thick. I want to say it's an R value of 10. We're going to be installing this in all of the walls around the pole barn. I am super pumped because the wood stove, like I mentioned in my last video, the wood stove works phenomenal. That's why we're going to be tearing apart the engine right next to it, because if you're not right next to it, it does warm up in here, but it just can't hold the heat as well as we would like. So we're, this little bit of R10 insulation on the walls will help keep that heat transfer from happening, so that we can contain some of our awesome heat that we're getting from the wood stove, so we can spend more time out here doing race truck stuff. So let's get started. Let's get this thing ripped apart. Tip and trick number 1, if you guys have never torn apart your 6.0 Power Stroke engine, then I would highly recommend that you label all of the little nuts and bolts that come off. Put them in baggies, label it. I've torn apart so many, I don't really need to do this. Form a good organization system of knowing where things are coming off of and where they should go back on. So if you've never torn apart, be fully aware of how everything is coming off and labeling all of these nuts and bolts that are coming off as well. Second trick, this oil cooler, I already pulled the oil cooler off, and that's what those bolts are there for. Normally what you would want to do is actually pull your oil pump out, and that will drain the oil cooler reservoir. So that's just another little trick to keep from making a complete mess like I already have here. Obviously the intake manifold has already been removed. That's one of the first things you're going to want to do, is remove your oil and fuel filter housing up top here, and then remove your intake so that you can start working on the heads. The injectors are already removed out of this, so we don't have to worry about that. But next thing I'm going to do is remove our up pipes, and then basically we're going to start working on our valve covers on both sides and start getting those tore down. So as you saw, a few of these head bolts over here are giving me a pain in the butt, but we got 3 more that we got to break free on this side. One little trick here is make sure you loosen up the rocker arm pedestal bolts first. That way when you release this head bolt, it doesn't come up and put all the pressure on those bolts. So you want to make sure you loosen those up and then loosen up your main head bolts there. Another trick to keep from making a mess, before you pull the head, pull that drain plug right there. I believe it's a 12mm Allen head. If you pull that out, it'll drain the block full of coolant, which will help keep from, when you pull the head, it won't drain the coolant all over the ground. So for that side, you just got to pull that Allen head, and then on this side, right where your heater, let's see in here, right there, right where your plug-in goes for your block heater, pull that out, and that'll drain this side. This side we were able to break all of our head bolts free, so I'm going to start working on this side mainly so that I can kind of show you exactly everything that I do to make sure everything's done correctly. Alright, so we just pulled the passenger side head off. See it to get a look in here. What you want to look for in here is the cross hatches. You can see mine there in these 2 cylinders. So everything actually looks really good underneath here. None of the pistons are scored up or anything like that. This cross hatches in the cylinders are really nice. There is our head over here. We're going to be sending these off to get O-ringed, check them for cracks, the whole works. Upgraded valve springs, high rev valve springs. And basically when you're looking at a head gasket like this one, you're going to be looking between the cylinders here, and then also pretty much right around the whole cylinder you're going to be looking for combustion gases. You can see this side here actually sealed up pretty good. We'll flip it over to this side. You can see right there, that is a blown head gasket right there. Looks like it was starting to blow right there as well. That one looks for the most part okay. Maybe a little bit going on right there in between these 2 cylinders. But definitely right here, that is a sign of a blown head gasket on this truck. That's what these 6.0 Power Strokes are known for. They stretch the head bolts and then they blow a head gasket. So we're going to get this other side ripped apart, and then we're going to get that rear engine cover off as well as the H-pop out so that we can hopefully maybe try and pull the cam out today, which means we got to pull the lifters out. And when you're doing lifters on this, they sit right back in here. You actually have to pull the H-pop in order to do it because of this crossover tube right here. That crosses over and goes to the other side as well and feeds oil to the top side of the rear lifter. So we actually have to remove our rear cover in order to pull those lifters out so that we can get that crossover tube off of there. Alright, so we got our driver's side head removed. Once again, you can see all the cross hatches in each one of the cylinders, so that's awesome to see. One thing too, guys, you know, if you're going to want to cover up these holes, you don't want anything getting down by the cam or down by the crank. That's a direct path down there, so you don't want anything to go down there. So make sure you put a nice piece of cloth or something, or towels or whatever you got to keep stuff from falling down in there before you clean everything up. I wasn't able to get the rear engine cover off. I forgot my IPR tool at work, so we're going to have to hold off on pulling the rear cover and the cam out until we can remove this. I don't have the right size wrench either to break that loose, so we're just going to hold off on that. Once we get the IPR tool, we'll be able to break that loose, get this H-pop cover off, pull the rear stuff off, and then actually pull the crank out from the rear. So that'll be in one of the next episodes. But for now, we can worry about our 2 heads here. We can get those to the machine shop and let them start doing their work on those. They're going to check for flatness, check for cracks, make sure the valves are sealing correctly. I'm going to give them a set of high rev valve springs to go ahead and install, as well as O-ringing of the heads where they machine and then actually stick a steel wire inside of the head. So super pumped. We're going to get those situated and keep moving forward on this engine. So that's going to be it for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching this episode where we tore apart our 6.0 race engine for the race truck outside. I cannot thank you guys enough for tuning in and watching this video. If you guys are new, make sure you guys are going down there and hitting that subscribe button. We got a lot of action for the race truck coming soon. A lot of parts are sitting in the room. I will also leave my Instagram name down below. I'll leave it somewhere around in here. I'll leave it in the description, as well as, I'll leave it somewhere around here so that you guys can go and follow me on Instagram. I do post pictures on my Instagram so that you can see kind of a sneak preview of what's to come on my videos. So make sure you guys are going over there and following me on Instagram, as well as subscribing so you guys can continue to see the content I'm putting out. We do have some parts for the Cummins, the 12 valve, coming in as well. So I got a couple video ideas, so I'm super pumped, super excited, so that we can keep these videos rolling out for you guys and keep the content moving. Obviously, we got some installation to be installing. Can't wait for that to keep it nice and toasty in here. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Make sure you guys are going down there, hit the subscribe button, like this video, and leave a comment as always, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.